So welcome back to the DCAU retrospective.
Because you're abbreviating with the acronyms, could you explain what each of the acronyms stand for?
BTAS, like I always say BTAS, so that means Batman the Animated Series, pretty simple. And then of course STAS obviously means Superman the Animated Series. TNBA, the New Batman Adventures.
Now that that's out of the way, can I have my chair back? Wasn't the whole chair fiasco enough drama?
I've got a plan. So this is a thing now. I haven't spoken to anyone at the Watchtower database since the Batwoman review. I guess this means James was the one who got mad at thinking I was the guy who stole the chair. As for him, apparently it was him who designed this. I wonder if he's trying to get in the way of my videos too. I don't know, but for now I'll play along. After all, I spent so long thinking about how subscribers never watched these damn videos anyway, instead kept begging for Zero Series content, and then I fought against all the WB copyright claims. I've seen plenty already, so I'm not stopping now.
Warning, the following video is a part of an ongoing episode-by-episode critique of the DCAU. As a result, there'll be massive spoilers for not just the season/movie in question, but for any other season or movie in the DCAU. More importantly, this review will build off of previously established ideas from other videos, assuming that you've already seen and are familiar with them already as to not bog down the pace. With all that in mind, enjoy the video. You know, I guess I never did get to talk about my thoughts on Unlimited Season 2 overall in the last video, as I was rudely cut off. No time like the present, I suppose. Justice League Unlimited Season 2 was one of the best things to ever grace superhero television. It challenged the target audience like none of the competition could ever dream of, with a compelling drama about moral grays, about what the rule of superheroes would be like in a politically active society like the United States of America. What made it so special was the fantastic character writing the DCAU has done so well since 1992, but also because of the truly commendable attention to detail. They say as much in the Cadmus Exposed behind the scenes video. When BTAS's first episode was written, was that research going to be a part of the Cadmus conspiracy? Hell no. Yeah, when Ghost in the Machine was written, that was just a blast of energy that was supposed to kill Luthor, but it didn't. However, this team went back and they watched all those government-focused BTAS, STAS, Justice League, and Batman Beyond episodes to figure out how many things we pick from and choose from to make it all one grand story. And that's what sets the Cadmus arc apart from other storylines that wouldn't dare pull an obscure plot point from a completely random episode of a previous show and make that the basis of the climax in a story that otherwise had nothing to do with it. But that's all the stuff you could have guessed by watching the last video. So this begs the question, where does Justice League Unlimited Season 2 rank on the DCAU tier list? For so long, I was hyping up the Justice League Season 2 review as the absolute peak. Nothing could top it. I was sure I was going to love JLU Season 2 quite a bit, and now I'll just say, I have rewritten this part over and over again. Some drafts saying Unlimited Season 2 was the best, and some saying Justice League Season 2 was the best. I'd go back and I'd rewatch my review of Wild Cards and Starcross, be like, yeah, this is the best. But then I'd go back and rewatch my reviews of Question Authority and Divided We Fall and be like, no, this is the best. For the first time in a season ranking, I absolutely cannot decide which of these two is better. JLU Season 2 is a spotless season, which JL Season 2 isn't, and the Cadmus arc really is one of the best parts in superhero TV history. But at the same time, I think Justice League Season 2 has more variety in its great storytelling, and I'd much rather rewatch Wild Cards or A Better World over Flashpoint or the Doomsday Sanction, as the Cadmus arc is a great watch to put them all together, but Panic in the Sky isn't as fun with the other episodes in my opinion. Which is fine, that's what they were going for. The Cadmus episodes basically form one episode, especially since Question Authority through Divided We Fall all have recaps and to be continued points. But technically they are still separate episodes that need other episodes to feel complete, something only a Dream from Justice League Season 2 doesn't have. But is that just the Justice League Season 2 nostalgia talking? Seriously, there were a lot of questions I had to consider when putting this tier placement together, and I have changed my mind countless times in the last couple weeks. But my final decision is, they're roughly tied, but I have that extra 1% affection for Justice League Season 2. At the end of the day, this is a good thing. I mean, here we have two seasons that are so good that I can't choose between them. There's certainly way worse spots to be in. Like I always say, these rankings aren't the most important part. It's the episode reviews themselves that really matter, and this is no different. I love Justice League Season 2, and I love Justice League Unlimited Season 2 more than most things out there. Tomorrow I might think Unlimited Season 2 is better, and then the next day be thinking Justice League Season 2 is the better one. And that's gotta count for something. And yes, there are 3 seasons of JLU. I thought we went over this in JLU Season 1, but I guess not. Let me roll the clip again. But anyway, the DVDs and digital releases of JLU would fool you into thinking there are 2 seasons of the show. the first having 26 episodes and the second having 13. In terms of production, there were 3 seasons, each with 13 episodes. I'm guessing some Warner Bros. Exec realized that having 13 episodes on a single set would mean they'd have to cut the price from the JL season box sets, and they were like, lol, no. And then they combined the first 2 seasons into one, and there you go. So, we're gonna safely ignore that fact for the remainder of the JLU videos. Also, when discussing the Cadmus arc in this Cadmus Exposed video, Mark Hamill had this to say.
Okay, now we're talking about an 8-episode arc in a 13-episode season, basically.
Basically, yeah.
8 out of 13 episodes? Sounds like the roster of Justice League Unlimited Season 2. If it was true that the first 26 episodes of JLU were one season and Season 2 was the last 13, then plain and simple, what Mark would have said would be 11 out of 26 episodes, because Fearful Symmetry, Ultimatum, and Dark Heart were all Cadmus episodes as well. There are 3 seasons of JLU, deal with it. With that established, can you believe we're even here right now? The studio heads had the balls to commission 13 more episodes of Justice League Unlimited after the Cadmus arc. I mean, seriously, it was crazy enough to demand this team to make more episodes after Starcrossed, but this? The Cadmus arc was just about all you could do to tell the next great storyline after Justice League Season 2. Well, that season told the best Tier 4 stories you possibly could, and JLU Season 2 told the best Tier 5 stories you could. Also, get Luthor out of there. He's no longer Tier 3, he's Tier 7. So good that he skipped straight past Tier 6 and went straight to Tier 7. Speaking of tier lists, in this season, the idea is to take all the Tier 3 villains, aka the costume villains, and make a JLU out of them. Secret Society Unlimited, Legion of Doom, if you will. Turning them into a Tier 4 threat and making that our opposition for the season. A return to the clear-cut good guys versus bad guys from previous seasons. An admirable plan, as I will say right off the bat, this season doesn't stand a chance of really beating Season 2 right from the start, but hey, it's JLU Season freaking 3. That's a tall order, so I'm not going to be too harsh on the season over that fact. They tried their best to come up with new ideas, and for that reason I'm just going to judge it as it is, instead of endlessly comparing it to the Cadmus arc, while also dealing with this shit. On that note, Justice League Unlimited Season 3, Episode 1, I Am Legion. The season wastes no time in starting the story as a criminal is escaping from jail after hijacking a police escort van. It's been a year since the Cadmus incident, and this particular criminal hasn't been heard from since. Yeah, it's Lex freaking Luthor. He's back, and he's the season's main villain again. And they managed to continue making it good. Luthor in this season is downright the main character. As I said, he's escaping, but there's something off about Luthor this time.
What? I know. I'm going as fast as I can.
Yeah, he talks to himself out loud because he still feels Brainiac as a part of him, and he can hear Brainiac in his mind as well as see Brainiac when no one else can. Also, I love this STAS Luthor theme remix.
Luthor! Don't make any sudden moves. It's over.
Luthor was just saved by a villain working for another JL villain.
I'm far superior to any man. Grodd, I appreciate the help, but gratitude only goes so far. I'm not interested in working with you or anyone else. I think you'll change your mind once you've seen what I have to offer.
Grodd is back, and he, like I said in the intro, is out to make a counter JLU. I already can't wait for this, because we all know Grodd loves to be in charge, but so does Luthor, as these were the 2 leaders of the 2 different JL villain gangs. Well, there was also Arija, but she's dead, so she doesn't count. Back at the crime scene, it's so great to have Superman Classic back in action.
Why would you even try to move a prisoner that dangerous without calling us?
Maybe because we thought we could do our jobs without help from the mighty Justice League.
And yet, here we are.
Okay, Shaira. What's done is done. Let's see if we can pick up his trail.
Then we're introduced to Special Agent King Faraday, the new liaison between the District Attorney's Office and the Justice League Unlimited. At the end of Divided We Fall, it was established that the League is going to make changes, and this is one of them: direct collaboration with the people on Earth. Amanda Waller is also a JLU liaison, but she only appears once this season. Well, to be fair, this isn't Agent Faraday's first appearance anyway. He was the one guarding Mandragora in Double Date before he betrayed them anyway. Now, this officer will give us an interesting tidbit on Luthor.
We haven't had a peep out of him since he was arrested for that Brainiac business last summer.
He's a broken man. Just sits in his cell talking to himself.
When he's not stealing police vans, you mean?
That came out of nowhere.
So back to Grodd's villain team. This isn't like the JLU where we have this loving team. Here, the secret society is a protection business. It's so hard for criminals these days to make a dishonest buck with so many superheroes running around. So if a villain needs backup, you can just call Grodd and he'll send, I don't know, Toyman and Giganta to back you up, and if you get away, you owe Grodd a cut of the spoils. Pretty ingenious, because otherwise you have to risk battling the JLU, and who wants to do that alone? Of course, you won't see any Batman villains here because of the damn embargo, and while we don't need them, I can totally see Scarface or Two-Face, or maybe even Scarecrow wanting in on this. Joker's not really a team player, but it would be really funny to have him here bothering Lex Luthor, especially in episode 8. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So what's in it for Luthor? Well, Grodd has recovered the only piece of Brainiac left on Earth, and he will let Luthor have it if he works for the secret society.
Salvation comes at a price, Lex. First you do something for me, then you get your precious rock.
Do whatever he asks. My entire program resides in even the smallest part of me.
I could reconstitute you, bring you back to life.
Yes, we could be together again.
These are just really well-made scenes. It's important to remember this since this isn't the last season review, but this was the last season of the DCAU ever made, so the production values have hit an all-time high. But we can explore that more in the future episodes. Now, just because the Cadmus arc is over doesn't mean continuity is going with it. I never saw this coming, but let's flip back to the Justice League Season 1 finale, The Savage Time, when the Justice League minus Batman went back in time to fight in World War II to defeat Vandal Savage. A team called the Blackhawks assisted the League in that battle, however it's now 2004, and there is only one Blackhawk still left alive, as he gets a distress signal because Luthor and a squad of villains are raiding Blackhawk Island. What's that? Well, this answers a question I never thought to ask, but Vandal Savage had built a bunch of futuristic technology to beat the Allied powers. That tech didn't just go away. It got stored on Blackhawk Island as to not interfere with history any more than it already had. This man knows the Justice League as it's confirmed that yeah, the DCAU's World War II really does just have a point where 6 costume superheroes showed up, saved the day, and vanished. Adding more credence to the idea that Wonder Woman's appearance in World War II is why Lois Lane would say this.
Yeah, right. I'm Wonder Woman.
In response to a ridiculous scenario before Wonder Woman ever appeared in the first place. That must be really weird for this guy, though. I mean, you meet the Justice League in World War II in like 1943 or 1944, and then like 58 years pass and the Justice League is actually created. But they don't know you, but then one day they poof back out of nowhere and they do know you now. That really hurts the brain if I do say so myself. And as if there weren't enough relationships already, Flash now has a thing for this member of the JLU.
Why don't you just go talk to her?
Who, me? Talk to her? No way.
Yeah, you'd probably be wasting your time anyway. I hear she's, you know, Brazilian.
Ha ha.
If you're afraid to talk to her, I'll tell her for you.
Don't!
You are so very sad.
But of course, you'd only have a problem with that many relationships if you were like 12 years old. Also, this scene takes place on the new ground-based watchtower called the Metro Tower. In Batman Beyond's Justice League episode, we saw that the watchtower was located on the ground, and now it's retroactively established that the Cadmus arc is the reason why this is. The space-based watchtower still exists, but there's no space gun, and the League has a ground base that works with the local authorities. As for the actual Blackhawk Island mission, there's a lot of good moments to be found. Flash is just generally increased in the casual badassery. I guess crossing the circumference of the Earth 6 times in under a minute does that. This really is small, but I got a lot of enjoyment out of this location. I mean, a secret island could have been anything, but just seeing relics from Vandal Savage's run in World War II is just so satisfying. Justice League Season 1 might not be my favorite, but you can bet cash money that I'll still geek out over referencing it. In fact, with Grodd being the villain this time, we do get a lot of quality callbacks to JL Season 1. But we can get to them when we get to them. Luthor and company escape with the staff Grodd wanted and bring it back to him as we get this great scene.
What are you going to do with it? Sell it to the highest bidder? Keep it yourself and try to conquer the world? I was thinking it would look good on the wall in my office. You mean you recruited me? Sent me to an island full of death traps? And up against the Justice League? You made me risk my life, and all for nothing? Essentially, yes. Monkey, I like your style. Give me the piece of Brainiac and we're even. Not yet, Lex. Today was just a test. Your next mission is for real.
He still has something we need. We have to put up with him for the moment.
I've always been entertained by Grodd as a villain, but Grodd versus Luthor is just so much fun to watch. We all know this setup can't last, because Luthor is too controlling for that, but in the meantime, we pay respects to the Blackhawks that have passed away.
It was worth it.
Ending, I Am Legion. Really enjoyable episode to start on. This review spent most of the time setting up the season, and that's because this episode is devoted to that, and so is the review. But yeah, good episode, and on that note, we shall move on to episode 2, Shadow of the Hawk. I marked the last season's episodes by Cadmus episodes versus non-Cadmus episodes. If I were to do the same here, there are 6 Legion episodes. You could argue 8, but episodes 3 and 9 are tangentially related, like the Balance or Double Date were last time. We have 2 of these Hawk-focused episodes, a Cadmus episode, and 2 other standard episodes. Point being, the Hawk plot, despite getting only 2 episodes of screen time, is basically the secondary plotline of the season. We start in Gotham with Batman, GL, Vixen, and Shiera battling some new villains. I usually forget that JL and JLU mostly take place in Metropolis, it just looks like a city, but then when we return to Gotham, it's the red sky from the new Batman adventures. Another thing people hold over that season's head. Couldn't tell you why. After the battle's won, Shiera is approached by this man called Carter Hall, which is an anagram of Hrotalic. Well, Katar Hall was the name of Hawkman in the comics, and that was where Hrotalic got his name from when they created the character in Starcrossed, but the DCU continuity is doing that exact thing, just in reverse.
I've been hoping to talk to you for a very long time.
And you are?
Carter Hall. I want to show you something. Easy. It's an artifact, not a weapon. Well, actually, it's both. Ah!
Thanagarian.
All the Thanagarian tech that was left behind after the war was either confiscated or destroyed.
Most, not all.
Thanagarian contraband sells for big bucks on the black market.
Where'd you get this?
In Egypt, during an archaeological dig. It's not from the invasion. It's been on Earth for over 8,000 years. You're Thanagarian. With your help, I could translate the glyphs, figure out how the technology got there. We could investigate this together. Come with me to Egypt.
Cairo's beautiful this time of year. I could recommend some nice restaurants.
We'll examine the artifact and get back to you when we know something. Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Thanagarian items have been on Earth for thousands of years, huh? I mean, I'm definitely interested to say the least. GL's love life is the running gag of the series, although I figured I'd remind the audience of something. GL's been so awkward about the Shiera-Vixen dynamic, not because of an inherent love triangle, but really because of the JLU Season 1 finale, The Once and Future Thing. The events of that episode, through time travel shenanigans, were decanonized, however Batman and GL both still remember that mission, even if it never actually happened. On that mission, GL met Warhawk, a member of the JLU as seen in Batman Beyond, who confirms that GL is his father and Shiera is his mother. GL doesn't know what to do with that knowledge as he wants to tell her but doesn't know how. This will come up again in episode 11.
Shiera, I wanted to... Judas Priest!
Problem?
No, it's just, I've never seen you in a dress before.
You don't like it?
It's, fetching.
If you want one for Vixen, I can tell you where I got it.
Listen.
Speaking of Batman, he's as funny as ever in this episode. Also, I'll just apologize in advance for an extremely long clip you're about to see, but there's just a lot of important establishing dialogue in this scene, so, gotta play the whole thing.
Glad I caught you before you did something stupid.
Excuse me?
Carter Hall.
What about him?
I did some research. His birth name is Joseph Gardner.
You lied.
No. 6 months ago, he had it legally changed to Carter Hall. He's an archaeologist. Currently curator of the Midway City Museum. Had an excellent reputation until about 5 years ago, when he started claiming that aliens landed in ancient Egypt.
Aliens? Well, then he must be a lunatic, because we all know that there's no life on other planets.
There's more.
What?
Our Mr. Hall spends quite a bit of time on the internet.
Dang, lock him up.
He frequents the I Hate Hawk Girl bulletin boards.
That doesn't mean... boards? How many are there?
57. Web rings. Unaffiliated sites number in the hundreds.
Forget I asked.
Hall keeps getting banned from them for flaming the anti-Shayera posters.
So he's a fan.
He's a stalker. There.
So he was in the crowd. I don't see what...
Wait.
A coincidence. This doesn't mean he's...
I'm gonna have a little talk with this guy.
This isn't any of your business. Or yours.
It's League business.
Oh, really? Do I tell you who to date? Carter Hall has uncovered a genuine mystery, and I think it's worth investigating.
You should take backup.
I can take care of myself. Thanks.
The point is...
The point is, you don't trust me. Either of you. Don't wait up.
This isn't right.
I know, but don't...
No, I mean, this shouldn't be happening. When we traveled to the future, we met my son, mine and Shayera's. We're supposed to be together. It's our destiny.
If you really believe that, why are you still with Vixen?
I mean, really, that's an idea that really got me thinking 2 videos ago. How bad must it feel like to believe that you're destined to be with Shayera, but you're with Vixen anyway? Is there such a thing as destiny? So many questions would come from that time travel mission. Shayera does travel to Egypt with Carter, and the atmosphere in these tomb scenes is pretty well done. Episode 4 is where I really realized it, but the score in this season is really cinematic, and this is no different. But, of course, with Shayera being out here, one man has decided to follow them.
The trick is the raised glyphs. If you press them in the proper sequence, they disarm the defenses down here.
And if you get it wrong?
Well, we're already in a tomb, so that's handy.
Seriously, I freaking love Batman. The episode then takes a turn when Carter reveals the real reason why we're here.
I haven't been completely honest with you. I brought you here under false pretenses. Or should I say, destiny brought you.
What do you think you're...
You and I are the reincarnation of lovers who died here thousands of years ago. My real name is Qatar Hall. But you can call me Hawkman.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. Exactly. I've got the worst taste in men.
I mean, laughing it off is certainly stronger than my reaction would have been. Where Carter gets this idea from is this device, the holocron. When Carter touched it, he was given visions of what happened on Earth thousands of years ago. 2 Thanagarians, Qatar Hall and Shayera Hall, crash-landed on Earth in the days of ancient Egypt, and it was thanks to the Thanagarians and their technology that the human civilization was turned into the ancient Egypt we all read about in 6th grade. But they were eventually poisoned by some kind of a jealous outsider. I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, really, the DCAU timeline has connections all throughout history, as Thanagarians creating the Egyptian society is something I'm sure the Question would love to look into. Carter thinks he and Shayera are the reincarnations of the old Qatar and Shayera, which is clearly who Shayera must have been named after. However, she reveals that the holocron didn't show him some previous life. It's supposed to log info and show it, but it must have been broken or something. The villain of this episode is this shadow thief that pops out of the wall and wants the Thanagarian tech for himself. More on him in episode 11. But for now, he gets beat and they escape the crumbling tomb as Batman gets in some quips.
I've waited thousands of years for us to find each other. I can wait a little longer.
How stupid do you think I am?
Scale of 1 to 10.
Funny. I meant this.
Hall was the one I didn't trust.
Right. That's why you planted this bug. How much did you hear?
A bunch of nonsense about reincarnation and destiny.
Maybe it isn't nonsense.
If you really believe that.
I don't have much to add here. I liked this episode, and it was better after having watched episode 11, so I'll just leave it at that. Episode 3, Chaos of the Earth's Core. This was the first episode I had mentioned as being tangentially related to the Legion of Doom, or the Secret Society, whatever. As we open in Japan as a giant monster is attacking the city with GL, Stripe, and Stargirl fighting on the scene. Stripe and Stargirl have been background characters before, this being their very first real action-heavy episode. Stargirl gets her powers from her staff that shoots beams and allows her to fly, and Stripe is a clunkier-looking Iron Man. Stargirl's already showing off, but overseas there's one superhero everyone loves, and she goes by the name Supergirl.
Probably here for the convention.
Convention?
With a new design that looks more Superman-esque, and I like it. I'm used to Supergirl's STAS appearance, but this works just fine as well. As Supergirl's older now, it makes sense to get a new costume, one that's actually canon, unlike Batman's various changes.
She's always blah 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 my cousin, blah 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 my cousin. Like we don't know who she means. Check me out, I'm Supergirl.
Ask me. The only thing that matters is we all pulled through.
Shut up, Pat. It wasn't World War III, it was a giant turtle.
If I was you, I wouldn't talk behind somebody's back when they got super hearing.
The heroes are plunged into the center of the Earth at the North Pole, and here Supergirl's powers don't work, as Stargirl enjoys this fact.
Oh, may I? Because it would be such an honor to help the great Supergirl out of a jam.
Seriously, this kid was really starting to get on my nerves for most of this episode, until the end. But anyway, there is this giant piece of kryptonite powering this place as we get some new lore about the people who live here. However, admittedly, I didn't really care. It wasn't that interesting, nor does it ever really come up again. But one of the villains here is Metallo. This is why this episode's connected to the Legion, but it's not a focus. The episode is about the heroes meeting the local tribe and teaming up with them for the war, but the villains are part of the Secret Society. My absolute favorite part about this is, well, first, I want to say that many STS villains are back this season, and they actually have their original voice actors, which was the lamest part of Hereafter Part 1, where they didn't put any effort into that. Metallo had pretty distinct acting, so it's great to hear him again for the last time. But the real thing I love is that Supergirl really is a courageous hero. She has no powers now, and the kryptonite's slowly killing her, but she still stands against Metallo and tries to win even if the odds are greatly stacked against her, while also fighting in the big war, not only having no powers, but also with a chance of getting hurt since her invincibility is gone. Which is a textbook definition of courageous.
I can't move without my kryptonite battery, but it's killing you.
I won't quit. You don't have to.
Now let's see this ending with Metallo.
You won't get anything out of me.
Pretty soon, you aren't gonna have the breath to talk. Who knows? 5 minutes. 1.
All right. I've joined forces with...
Whoa, Nelly! This isn't Silver Banshee's work. Somebody else didn't want Metallo to give them up.
Grodd has tapped into everyone's mind and caused that to happen. An ominous ending, as the League clearly has a new villain group to worry about. Also, Supergirl reveals how long she's been on Earth for.
Superman tried to keep me on the farm, made me hide there for 3 years.
This season is 1 year after the Cadmus arc, which was 1 year after Unlimited Season 1, 3 years after Supergirl comes to Earth at 16. Placing the top half of Superman Season 3 in 1999, Supergirl being 17 1 year later in Unity, placing the back half of that season in 2000. Secret Origins takes place at the end of the year, Justice League's first 2 seasons taking place in 2001, putting Kara at 18 in JL Season 2 cameos, 19 Unlimited Season 1, 20 during the Cadmus incident, and now verging on 21. Figured I'd mention that. Which leads us into Episode 4, To Another Shore. You might notice that these reviews are shorter in this video than the last video or Justice League Season 2, and that's because I realized something. The Cadmus arc is over. We watched it, we reviewed it, it's done. The Cadmus arc is what I, as a reviewer, was building up to the whole time in almost all these videos. In some ways you don't even know. Yet. That's where all this continuity was heading, and now it's done. This season tells a story, and I'm doing my best to cover it, but there's no need to spend 25 minutes on this episode. I can just give you my thoughts on it because we aren't building up to anything anymore. After this video, we're doing 3 straight seasons of Batman Beyond, an episodic show like BNSTAS. Why spend 25 minutes on Earthmover from Beyond Season 2? With that said, climate change is affecting the glaciers to where a giant ship from ancient times has been revealed to the public. For a lot of people, that sentence is a turnoff for this episode, and when I was in high school, I probably would have taken points off for mentioning climate change, or global warming as it was predominantly called in 2006. But that's just stupid. It's a real life thing. Stories base themselves off of real life, so there's no issue with it. Admittedly, hearing the words global warming coming out of Wonder Woman's voice sounds kind of awkward, but again, the premise is fine by me. Especially since this Arctic region is where many world leaders are gathering to discuss the issue. Wonder Woman is there as a spokesperson of Themyscira, and I think that's interesting. In Superman the Animated Series, this world was introduced to concepts thought impossible just 1 year before, but in Justice League Season 1, the floodgates were opened even more as Atlantis and Themyscira had gone public. So to see that Atlantis and Themyscira are joining the global debate as officially recognized parts of the world is interesting. Also, I'm sure Diana speaks for the Justice League Unlimited as well, something they never would have even bothered doing pre-Cadmus.
Agent Faraday, what are you doing here?
Not smoking. Want some?
No thanks.
I'm here with the special security team. The vice president is attending. But you know that already. I saw you reading him the Riot Act earlier.
I'm not much of a diplomat.
Don't sell yourself short, lady. You're an international incident waiting to happen. By the way, if you raise your voice to the VP again, my men are under orders to shoot you.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. The episode opens in the Watchtower as Diana is begging Jean to leave HQ for once.
The Justice League currently has 23 active missions in progress. Only I can properly deploy what remains of our resources.
Oh, please. Mr. Terrific can fill in. He's smart enough to do monitor duty and the Sunday Times crossword at the same time.
Go ahead, Jean. I'm already finished with the crossword.
You did it in ink again, didn't you?
Mr. Terrific is more than capable, but I insist on remaining where I'm needed.
Turn around and talk to me. You've been cooped up like a hermit in the Watchtower for almost 2 years now.
I can better serve the League.
We're not even going to have that argument. You're a super strong, nearly invulnerable, telepathic shape changer. The reason you aren't on the ground protecting humanity is because you don't want to be. You don't actually like humanity all that much, do you?
I don't dislike them.
You're not the only newcomer to this world around here. People have strange ways and take a lot of getting used to. But it's worth the effort.
Ever since he became Mission Command in Unlimited Season 1, Jean has barely gone anywhere, the only exception being Divided We Fall. Literally, that was Jean's only mission in the entire last 2 years. That's fucking sad. Since he's been Mission Control, we haven't really had a moment to focus on Jean's loneliness. In Season 1, Jean almost sacrificed Earth for a chance to bring Mars back. In Season 2, he was surprised the humans had potential for selfishness in such great numbers. In that episode, Tabula Rasa, Jean learned that humans also had the capacity for great good, which kept him on the team. But you realize now how disconnected he is from the people he saves. But for now, he stays on the Watchtower. The Secret Society wants that ship that was discovered as Luthor has enhanced everyone's abilities. But why does Grodd want the ship? Well, I'll let him explain, because this was the scene that convinced me that Unlimited Season 3 felt really cinematic.
First, I want to tell you a story. In Scandinavia, early in the 10th century, lived Prince John, the greatest warrior of his era. His tremendous skill and valor brought him fame throughout the world as the legendary Viking Prince. His adventures were epic, as were the legends that grew around his exploits. Prince John, sole survivor of a bloody war, its purpose lost to time, met a Valkyrie. Impossibly, they fell in love and swore their hearts to each other. But Odin, king of the Norse gods, discovered their illicit affair, and enraged, banished John from Valhalla, begging to be allowed to remain with his love. Odin agreed, saying that if John died a heroic death, he and his love would again be united for all eternity. But Odin was a crafty god and cruel. Before exiling John, he gifted him with invulnerability to harm from metal, wood, fire, and water. The Viking prince soon realized that he would never die a hero's death, because no weapon on earth could slay him. He trod boldly across a troubled world in search of adventure and an honorable death, growing ever more distant from humanity. Eventually, weary of the endless fight for justice and despairing in his loneliness, he sailed north, beyond the boundaries of the known world, and passed from the knowledge of men. That is, until now.
Grodd could say anything and it would pack a lot of weight and atmosphere, because they really casted him well.
I hate bananas. us.
When the villains attack, we get this classic homage for the first time in Justice League with Diana's JL Season 1 theme playing. I don't know how that works, but it's a moment to smile at. Most of this episode's a big fight scene where Diana gets hit by Devil Ray's poison dart, but I guess was cured off screen. She basically tells us as much as the end of the episode. The action is just really well animated here, and I'm happy to say. I mean, if you're watching in production order, this is like the 20th season, and the fact they can still make entertaining action scenes is a compliment. I also love Green Arrow in this season. He's just a regular part of the family. People call him Ollie like the founding members would call each other Bruce or Clark. Arrow even calls Superman Clark in episode 10. He just has a lot of fun with superheroics now as to being the cynic he was in the first 2 Unlimited seasons.
And Black Canary said a buzzsaw arrow was self-indulgent.
Diana begs for Jean to join this fight, as he finally does, and you'd think it would be pretty badass, but he tries to read Giganta's mind, but Grodd's block affects her like it did Metallo in the last episode, and once the mission's done, we actually get a really sad moment.
Meanwhile, something's definitely not kosher. Strange thefts, supervillains with their heads hotwired to short out if you question them. We've got a real mystery developing here.
True, but it's a mystery you'll have to solve without me. I've been thinking about what you said, and about the horrible despair of Prince John's life. I'm a Martian. I'll live far longer than he did, and unless I find a way to connect with humanity, I'll live out that time totally alone.
I was thinking this while Grodd told the story of Prince John, that Jean's life has been similar. He was the only Martian to survive the Imperium attack and stood watch over them for a long time until the astronauts came and ruined it, sending the Imperium to Earth where Secret Origins then happens. Jean's been fighting with the League because there's nothing else to do, but he's leaving now. He wants to find some meaning in human life, one he'll never find just directing missions. In Justice League Season 2, Flash was basically established as the heart of the team, which he proved in Hereafter and Starcrossed where he hugs Shiera on her way out, and he does the same for Jean. Yeah, Jean is gone. He'll never appear again till the series finale.
I pass, like night, from land to land. I have strange power of speech. That moment that his face I see, I know the man that must hear me. To him my tale I teach.
I really like this ending for his character. He will live on Earth for the rest of his days, outlive all of his friends, so it's important to find meaning on Earth before it's too late. Let go of his family on Mars, who he lost all those centuries ago. And that's that for To Another Shore. But speaking of Flash, let's dive in episode 5, Flash and Substance. So this episode takes place in Central City, Flash's base of operations. I don't know that many Flash villains, but I'm just so used to Batman's villains or Spider-Man's villains being really serious, so when I see this backstreet bar where Flash's villains just hang out, I couldn't help but laugh.
If I don't visualize a mortgage payment soon, the wife will have me bagging groceries for a living.
She's always been an ice queen, that one.
Captain Boomerang, you old son of a wallaby.
Mirror Master, Captain Cold. Does me good to see the old faces. Even the trickster.
We heard you were out early.
Time off for good behavior, you might say. I cut me a good deal.
That's right, Captain Boomerang has been let out of Task Force X, and what does he do? Go back trying to kill the Flash. Can you imagine how many dangerous missions this guy must have gone on if that Watchtower raid was only one example? Honestly, even if he wanted to go back to crime, you'd think Flash would be small potatoes by now. But that's what makes comic book villains, I guess. This roster includes the aforementioned Captain Boomerang, the Trickster, Mirror Master, and Captain Cold.
Well, at least he didn't make me eat my own laser kaleidoscope.
That's a rumor. A complete exaggeration.
And anyway, it was a laser pistol. It's like that time I stole an entire train while it was moving. The way people tell it, you'd think the Flash shoved my cold gun.
You know, I've had him on the ropes too.
They find out that the city is building a museum to honor the greatness of the Flash, which makes sense. Like I said in JL Season 2, Flash was the most commercial hero of the League, but he was also the most connected with the people, even more than Superman, as Flash would give gifts to the orphan children, and was nice to everyone around him. I guess we have Superman to thank for that. I mean, he really used to be kind of a jerk. With the Flash Museum being a thing, the villains are going to team up and kill Flash. Simple plan, really. As we actually get to see Wally West's job as a forensic scientist, confirming that shot from The Brave and the Bold to be a flashback of Wally himself.
But we went one better. Turns out the soap is the same brand as the one in the victim's kitchen.
Nice work. That's the way to nail a crook.
It's one way.
It's always weird to think that he's a scientist given how much of a goofball he is. But hey, they did show that he is the energy of the room like he is on the Justice League.
Later, Rick.
Take care.
Later, Margie. Have a good one. Later, Tony. Watchtower, table for one.
So he feels like the same person. On the Watchtower, Jean is gone and Batman's doing mission control, as Flash really wants him to come to the museum opening.
I understand if everybody's too busy to come. No biggie. My mom's gonna be there. Let's see, my uncle's flying in. Be great if one of the original 7 made it. I mean, okay, yeah, it's a Flash museum, but to me, the whole league deserves the honor. All of us. Like I said, no biggie.
What time?
6 o'clock. No. You're really coming? Awesome! You're a stand-up guy, Bats. Don't ever let them call you a crazed loner. Well, I got a lot to do.
But Batman doesn't need words to make people do things.
I can't believe you let that buffoon manipulate you. You'd never see me at one of these museum openings. It's not black tie, is it?
Hey guys, how they biting? Flash, congrats, man.
It's just so charming to see Flash know everyone in town and know what's going on in all their lives. I mean, even in real life, these are just the traits that make someone likable. A goal from Justice League Season 2 onward was making these characters feel like real people, and Flash shows it off really well in this episode. He's just so genuine.
I proclaim this Flash Appreciation Day.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, folks. Wow. You've all been so great to me over the years. It really gets to me, you know? Hope I always make you guys proud. That's all.
Now here are some great moments about the rest of the story.
Flash,
Hey, guys.
you're tied to a very large boomerang.
Yeah? What are you guys doing here? The thing isn't for another hour.
Someone means to kill you.
You don't say.
Waller told me that Boomerang left Task Force X, so I did some checking. 3 other supercriminals from Central City are off the radar.
Hey, Mirror Master took a shot at me too.
Here's what we're going to do.
Listen, I need to go home and change before the opening tonight.
We're coming with you.
You really don't have to.
We're coming with you.
This is where you live?
Isn't it great? Low maintenance fees, and there's a laundry room on the same floor.
The way you talk, I would have thought your Central City had built you a palace.
You get a big burst of flavor from everybody. Dude, what was my last standee?
It startled me.
Cool, huh? The hard part is getting the costume back into it.
I can't believe you expect us to kick in for that fiasco.
Don't you start pouting, Cole. That stunt cost me a fortune. Boomer, must you always plead poverty? I've got my overhead. You just pull another mirror out of your blinking arsenal. What's that cost? Nothing.
After that, the villains all leave the Trickster behind, and the heroes use this to their advantage as we see how Flash deals with villains.
Orion.
Talk.
While you still have a jaw.
Hey! Would you guys please take it down a notch? Let me handle this. James, you're off your meds, aren't you?
I'm better off without him. Take him if I start feeling down.
You know that's not how the medicine works. You're not well.
I'm fine. You want to throw some darts?
No. Listen, James, you're wearing the suit again.
I am? Well, what do you know?
Here's the deal, buddy. Tell me where those guys went, and I promise to come see you in the hospital. We'll play darts. The soft kind.
Okay. They're gonna ambush you at the Flash Museum.
See? That's all we needed. Come on, we better get over there.
What about your enemy?
Oh, right. Dude, as soon as you finish your drink, turn yourself in.
Got me again, Flash.
I love that scene. I mean, it's funny, right? But it just carries on the idea that Flash really is a nice guy. He doesn't want to just beat up villains. He actually wants to help them and make them better people. and talking to a guy like the Trickster actually would help him as opposed to beating him up. I also love the reference to the STAS Flash episode here in the Flash Museum. I love how Orion doesn't understand Flash, but Batman, without having to say anything, totally gets and respects Flash's lighthearted superhero approach.
Central City builds statues to this fool, who makes bad jokes, who concerns himself with pitiful men like the Trickster. I don't understand.
No, you don't.
In the final fight, Flash even gets trapped inside the mirror dimension, more lore from the comics making its debut in the DCAU. Mastery of this mirror dimension is what Mirror Master's main ability is, and I like this brief moment. It's comparable to that stupid scene in Sonic Forces where they get trapped in null space, but through the power of running fast, they get out in 20 seconds. But here, Flash is like, yeah, we're gonna have to keep running through every single mirror until one of them brings us back to reality, which might take a while, until Batman lights a flare and saves the day like he always does.
This'll make my rep forever.
Really, this episode is practically showing us what Flash, the animated series, would have been like, and would be a pretty cool and distinct show.
Now I understand. You play the fool to hide a warrior's pain.
Dude, the bad guys went down and nobody got hurt. You know what I call that? A really good day.
Flash is just a great character who's gotten better in every single season we've seen him in, this episode being a perfect day in the life, with grand set pieces and funny dialogue. It was great to pair him up with Orion and Batman, two really serious characters that have to take the back seat to Flash for once. For all those reasons, I think it's a great episode. Episode 6, Dead Reckoning. Grodd has sent a team of villains to this temple grounds to find an artifact, which is heavily guarded by these monks who have clearly been practicing their Devil May Cry combos.
This would also not be permitted.
Also, here we get a reminder that Luthor was the one who created Bizarro, which I actually forgot about until now.
Bizarro, you despise me, right?
Bizarro hate Luthor. He'd do anything for him.
Good. I mean, bad. Anyway, take care of those monks.
Not the kind of thing you think about when it comes to Luthor's resume at this point, but I will give credit. George Newbird's Bizarro voice is greatly improved from the first season of Unlimited, where he was just awful. The new character here is called Dead Man. He's a ghost that can't ascend to the next stage of life as he has to do something heroic first, and he's unsure of what because he already avenged his own death. But now his mission is to stop Lex and company from whatever they're trying to do, as they killed the Master and stole the heart of Nanda Parbat, which takes the souls of all the monks as well. Back at the villain base, Luthor and Grodd are just so funny to watch.
I have done as you ask, Lord Grodd.
Get off your knees, woman.
Not until my master says so.
Excellent work, my dear. You may rise. You're pathetic, debasing yourself like that. If you're quite finished demonstrating what an alpha male you are, maybe you'd care to explain what you intend to do with that thing.
Already told you, but you won't accept it. You don't believe in magic.
It's not a matter of belief. I'm just unaccustomed to working with something I don't fully understand.
As long as the amplifier you built for me works,
it does.
Then consider this an exotic power source.
Tala explains how she's even here, because when I first saw her I was surprised, because when we last saw her she was a member of Cadmus and was trapped in the mirror by Felix Faust when he stole the armor. Grodd somehow brought her back. Don't ask. Grodd has like fucking superpowers. I mean, he turned Giganta from a gorilla into a human, and promised to make Clayface normal again. He probably could have done it too. Dead Man seeks the help of the JLU, as the members in this episode are Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman.
All reports filed.
Good. What do you guys say we get something to eat? We hardly ever spend time together when we're not working.
Sounds good to me. I'm tired of commissary food.
I'd like to, Diana, but I've been away from Gotham too long.
Come on, Bruce. I know a burger place in Metropolis that has the best fries on the East Coast.
Again, it's great that these characters are just friends now.
And the milkshakes are so thick, I need your help.
That's pretty thick.
I'm serious. I need your help on a mission of vengeance. Now, don't be alarmed, but I'm not Superman. I'm
a ghost inhabiting his body. Is that you, Boston?
Hiya, Bats. When I'm working, people call me Dead Man.
You know this, Ghost?
But Dead Man mentions that Batman was trained by this master. I guess that means Batman had more than one, because the Master from this episode is certainly not the guy from BTAS, but I guess I buy it. I mean, Bruce was also trained by Zatara the Magician in the ways of being an escape artist before ever going to Japan. We don't know when Bruce left Gotham to train, we just know he was about 18 in the BTAS flashback and about 20 in the Phantasm flashback. I also like this scene as they try to identify the villains. It just feels like a real mystery is developing on the JLU's end, which it is.
First sign of Luthor since Shayera saw him on Black Hawk Island. What's he up to?
This seems like it might be bigger than Luthor. Agent Faraday told me Devil Ray escaped from prison. And Bizarro showing up again, and all the odd teams of previously unaffiliated villains.
Whose brains have conveniently been shorting out when we question them.
Do you guys remember the one bit of information Jean was able to pull out of Giganta's mind before it shut down?
Grodd. Think he's put together a new secret society?
Except this time he's doing a better job of keeping the secret.
We, the audience, just have to be perfectly clued in on what it is. Mr. Terrific there is the one doing Jean's job on a regular basis now, just so you know. As Deadman mentions that he can feel the souls from the artifact in Africa, which leads Batman and Wonder Woman to suspect that Grodd is trying to get revenge on Gorilla City, which he tried to destroy back in his debut episode in Season 1. I just love these recurring locations and characters, as Batman decides to call Solivar, the gorilla that helped Flash and GL in that episode.
Solivar, this is Batman.
What a coincidence. I was just about to call you.
Wanted to give you a heads up. We've got reason to believe that Grodd's headed your way.
You don't say. That might explain the armies of supervillains attacking the city.
How bad?
They've all been taken over.
You know, when they beam down on that TV show, they never miss.
We didn't miss either. It's a force field, but it also hides the city from prying eyes.
Looks like a job for Superman.
You're wasting time. Go in as a ghost, find the central control building, and shut down the shield generator. We'll follow as soon as we can.
Yeah, okay. You have to eat them with a spoon. What am I doing in Africa?
You have to eat them with a spoon. What am I doing in Africa? Once the shield is down, we get the big action scene, and it's really well done. The action switches focus from each hero at just the right time, as they do it so smoothly, and the music is great. It's scenes like this that show just how perfected the DCAU is at this point. Grodd lied to Luthor about his plans, and then he turns the entire world into apes. The fuck? What kind of plan is that? I remember watching this scene being like, that's Grodd's master plan? I was just about ready to take points off for how stupid that is, especially when the Justice League stops this plan like 2 minutes later max. But before I get to why I'm not taking points off, Devil Ray shows up and is about to attack the League, and this happens.
With more to come, I'm sure.
Bruce, Deadman took over your body. It wasn't your fault.
Like, holy shit. That actually killed Devil Ray. And the gun was in Batman's hand. I mean, that's intense, what more can I say? But with the machine destroyed, all the souls return to where they came from, ending that part of the story, as the non-depar Bat-Lore doesn't return, bringing us back to the villain base.
Since there's only one monkey left around here, I'm assuming that the Justice League found a way to stop the carrier wave.
There's more than one way to peel a banana. Next time... I wasn't going to do this for another few weeks, but seriously. Turning all of humanity into apes? That was your master plan? Listen up. From now on, I'm in charge of this operation. Anybody got a problem with that?
How can I take points for Grodd having a dumb plan when Luthor speaks with the audiences thinking while making fun of Grodd and then shooting him? Luthor is now running this operation. This I gotta see. But that ends dead reckoning. It was alright. I thought the action was great, the character interaction was great, continuity was good, and the jokes all land, but that's Unlimited Season 3 summed up really well. Everything's perfectly executed. It's just kind of hard to get amped up for most of it. I definitely couldn't care less about the Deadman lore, but that's just me. For the next episode, we shall return to the Cadmus storyline, though. Episode 7, Patriot Act. Wade Eiling discovers an old super soldier project from the 1940s that would give the user superpowers, and he thinks using this will help him protect us from the Justice League. Amanda Waller's also back as the two of them discuss this new age with great performances in this scene.
We're lucky we're not all in jail.
Look, the only mistake we made was trusting Luthor.
Wade, you know better than to dwell on the past.
I'm talking about right now. The Justice League is still the single greatest threat to global security.
I used to believe that too, but remember, we used to say the same about the Soviets. Our enemy is never as evil as we imagine. And maybe we're never quite as good. I'm not the League's greatest fan, but their intentions are good. I can work with them.
What if you're wrong, though? Look what happened last year. Superman walked into Cadmus and tossed our best men like a salad.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
What's to stop him from doing it again? They're all orbiting us with a space weapon, supposedly decommissioned. That's a much bigger threat than the Russians ever were. If we'd rolled over like this with the Soviet Union, given up our nukes...
We'd all be living under a red flag.
Yes, ma'am, you better believe it. After all our work, what did Cadmus accomplish? You get a reprimand, I'm pushing pencils. And the League gets another base here on Earth, that Metro Tower. When one side loses ground and the other side gains, that isn't a truce. It's a surrender.
It's a different world, General. Learn to live in it.
It is true, the League getting to keep the Watchtower, get the Metro Tower, and Cadmus being gone completely is a bit one-sided, but like I said last time, Waller has realized that we can get so much good done by working with the Justice League instead of against them. I had this feeling about Eiling ever since he appeared in JLU Season 1, but his motive is far more oriented towards beating the JLU now than it is towards protecting Earth if something bad happened. This is why Waller is done with that, because the fight is over. The Justice League proved that they were the good guys and always will be. We need to protect ourselves from Luthor or Darkseid, not Superman, and how can we best protect ourselves from those villains? By teaming up with the Justice League. Eiling decides to break into the old Cadmus base and steal the formula from the 40s, and it turns him into the Hulk as he rampages through the streets trying to challenge Superman while the superpowered characters are on space missions, so Green Arrow, Vigilante, Shining Knight, Stripe, and Stargirl have to fight him off. The point this episode's trying to make is that the characters fighting the Eiling monster don't have superpowers. They're fighting to protect people from him because he's a dangerous monster. And that's what real heroism is, and why the town cares so much for these supposedly D-list heroes by the end of the episode and not Eiling, the guy who pretends he's here to protect us.
You and those other no-name heroes, you're just people. In the great scheme of things, nothing you do has the least bit of significance. I'll waste you and a billion like you before I let any power rival America's. It's my duty.
You don't know what the word means.
You can't win.
I'll die as befits a knight, defending the weak.
Superman and your Justice League are a threat to a safe and stable world.
Drop the act. You think killing Superman would make the world safe? Or killing this boy? Or us? Tell me, how many of us do you have to kill to keep us safe?
They're the ones I'm after, not you. I'm not the menace. Metahumans are. Superpowered beings.
You're the only one around here with superpowers.
Also relevant because these heroes were covering a parade meant for Superman, but the crowd got pretty disappointed when these D-listers show up. But when they do what a hero is supposed to do, they get the crowd's favor. Also, this part is funny as Terrific can't spare any quality backup.
Well, you wanted Superman, now you got the Crimson Avenger and my ex-sidekick. Ex-partner. Speedy, we gotta do this now.
This action scene is again really good and dynamic, but I realized that what this episode's problem was the second it ended. It's exactly like Hunter's Moon from the last season. I thought it was a fine episode that checked off all the boxes you would need in a star-crossed follow-up, however this star-crossed follow-up cut between the Cadmus story we were following, worst part being its placement in between Clash and Question Authority. I love me some star-crossed, if we're watching Justice League Season 2, or if it's mentioned. But in Season 2 of Unlimited, you're just like, yeah, that's fine, but can we get back to Cadmus now? I much prefer the Cadmus arc to the Secret Society story in Season 3, but it's the same principle. This is the story we have now. Cadmus is over, and we just saw Luthor take command of the villain team, which will be the focus of the next episode. But here we are with this Cadmus follow-up in between that, yeah, checks off all the boxes, but it's not needed or all that compelling on its own. It does everything right, but you just can't write home about it, unfortunately. Well, actually, if I were to complain about one thing, it would be that this is just how Eiling's character ends. He turns into a monster, fights, and leaves, never to be seen again. But anyway, I'm happy now because after 7 episodes that were, really good, just fine, doing everything right, but not like amazing. Let us get to episode 8, The Great Brain Robbery, one of the funniest Justice League episodes. Lex Luthor is testing that Brainiac rock that Grodd taunted him with in the first episode. Tala has completely shifted loyalty from Grodd to Luthor once he became the alpha male around the place, and her actress must have had a lot of fun this season. I mean, she didn't really have a personality at all last time, but now she literally turned love interests on a dime, only to find out that the guy is more interested in a piece of Brainiac than her. Luthor can't get it to work, so he decides that they're going to make Grodd talk, or else they're going to use his mind control technology on him to get the info Luthor needs. Meanwhile, Terrific, GL, Flash, Fate, and Red Tornado have gotten sick of waiting for the villains to strike and want to find them now. Here's our continuity usage of the day. In Justice League Season 1's The Brave and the Bold, Grodd temporarily took control of Flash's mind and had him fight GL and Solivar while he and Dr. Corwin activated the force field around the city. Apparently, that brief psychic link between the two, while brief, did leave a trace of Grodd's mind that Dr. Fate can tap into and find Grodd with. Unfortunately, these two things happen at the exact same time, only resulting in Lex Luthor and the Flash switching bodies. Body swaps can be pretty corny, but this is the funniest execution of the idea I have ever seen. Now, when they came up with the concept of this episode, they thought it would be funny because Flash's actor had played Lex Luthor on Smallville, so he'd be doing his Luthor voice for a day on JLU. Which, first and foremost, I love how it's still Flash's voice even with Luthor inside of his body. That's just what makes the most sense. And because of that, it's just funny to hear this monotone voice coming out of the Flash.
Wally, no, something's wrong. That's not Flash's mind. It's Lex Luthor. What? What have you done to me? That's Luthor.
What have you done to me? Leading to hilarious moments like Luthor escaping to the bathroom.
Lex, you're having a difficult day. If nothing else, I can at least learn the Flash's secret identity. I have no idea who this is.
That just reminds me how some superheroes have secret identities, but like for no reason. I mean, Wally West is a complete nobody. Bruce Wayne is a face to hide while crime fighting. But yeah, that delivery was just hilarious. At least I can learn the Flash's secret identity. I have no idea who this is. One of the best parts is how I have said it countless times. Flash acts weak and holds himself back all the time, but when you put Luthor in Flash's body, he uses his powers within the span of seconds in ways Flash never did.
Beam me out of here, or I'm going to vibrate these fingers and scramble your brains.
Give it up, Luthor. Get down!
His vibrations create an unstable resonance.
Which is why the real Flash doesn't do it.
Because Luthor is really good at thinking at his feet and knows how to use speed to his advantage, even with no prior experience. Yeah, Flash can just vibrate through walls, but he doesn't do it because it's dangerous. So yes, Luthor in Flash's body is plenty entertaining, and it was what the writers thought would be the funniest. But no, the Flash in the body of Lex Luthor is fucking comedic gold. One of the best things about the acting here is that Andrea Romano, the voice director, would have, for example, if Luthor is speaking in Flash's body, Clancy Brown would first have to say the line how he would normally deliver it as Lex Luthor, but then Michael Rosenbaum would have to match that exact inflection with his own voice to really increase the authenticity of the whole episode. And apparently Michael Rosenbaum decided to do the most over-the-top line reads he could think of, and Clancy Brown would actually do it.
You need to stop following me around so I can think for a second. Okay. I'm trapped in a building full of supervillains. I've lost my powers, and for some reason, this creepy hot chick thinks I'm Lex Luthor. Oh, that is just wrong.
I should mention, earlier in this episode, the villains were doubting Luthor as a leader as he's more focused on Brainiac than he is on leading the team, which continues now as Polaris wants to do Luthor's mission, which Flash has no idea what he's talking about, and these scenes are the funniest in the whole episode.
Are we doing this or what?
I told him you want to be alone.
We're supposed to be going over your big plan. We are still pulling the job, right? Or was the whole thing just a bluff?
Huh? I mean, right, the big plan. I'm all over the big plan. So let's go do that. What?
You gonna wash your hands?
No, 'cause I'm evil.
No, 'cause I'm evil. But it only gets funnier when Flash has to deliver a whole speech about the big plan in front of the whole villain base.
We're waiting, Luthor.
My fellow bad guys, I, Lex Luthor, your leader, will speak now about my, Lex Luthor's plan. My villainous plan. Question the plan at your peril. Any questions?
We all get a cut, right?
Watch your step, my evil minion. You presume too much. One of these days, you'll go too far.
Me got answer.
Excellent. Do enlighten us.
Ever since you plug into Monkey's head, you act perfectly sane and rational. Am you Bizarro's mommy?
What's his problem, Ray? Come on!
Wait, I got it. You, evil head guy.
Yeah?
Tell me your part in this plan.
I don't have a part in this plan.
Exactly. Pop quiz. Everyone tell me their part in the plan.
The recently reunited country of Kasnia has gone democratic and is joining the European Union.
As such, they're switching their currency from Kasnian crowns to euros.
That scene gets all the credit it deserves. First, the funny lines. About my Lex Luthor's plan. My villainous plan. Question the plan at your peril. Watch your step, my evil minion. You presume too much. One day, you'll go too far. You, evil head guy. Clancy Brown can be really funny, and this episode proves it with flying colors. Then there's the continuity. Kasnia drama is back. After the corrupt regent from Superman the Animated Series got replaced with the monarchy seen in Justice League Season 2, Princess Audrey was arranged to marry Vandal Savage, who killed the king and almost held the world at gunpoint but was stopped by the Justice League. The now Queen Audrey took command, but a civil war broke out between the northern and southern sides as seen in Justice League Unlimited Season 1. 2 years later, the two sides are one again, have gone democratic, and are now joining the European Union. After this season, someone in Kasnia is doing business with the Penguin in Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, and eventually Kasnia will be an element of a Batman Beyond episode, and that will be the final time I mention this fictional country. But it's cool that there's just this ongoing lore surrounding one fictional place just made up in the first Superman episode. Lastly, Flash isn't mocking Luthor here. Flash literally doesn't know anything about Lex Luthor, so he's just acting like a mustache-twirling bad guy, which is so funny because Luthor is anything but. The depth of the character writing is really unmatched here. The final action set piece is what it is. I mean, they finally take down Luthor, Flash gets exposed, but Fate switches the minds back to normal just at the right time.
It sounds like Wally, but is there any way to be sure?
You want proof? Until he went off into the Marines, GL's nickname was...
Stop! It's him. Man, you promised never to repeat that story.
I know. I was just messing with your head.
Well, can you tell us anything about Grodd's secret society? Where's their headquarters?
I don't know. In a swamp?
The reaction of the villain base is even better as the tension rises up. Polaris takes this as his chance to take over leadership from Luthor, but Lex, he's not gonna take this lying down.
That doesn't matter. I'm running things from now on.
Oh, don't kid yourself, Polaris.
Whether you're just a look-alike or the real thing, I'd hate to be you about now.
That's how you know I'm Luthor. When I augmented your powers, I also made sure I can override your abilities. Would anyone else care to try me?
Lex, is that really you?
Of course it's me, you twit.
Yeah, those power mods Luthor gave everyone in episode 6, the catch was that Luthor has direct control over everyone's powers now. I'm telling you, Luthor is just the best villain! But that ends that. One of my favorite episodes all season, a definite contender for top 10 JLU episodes. Memorable, funny, quotable dialogue, a cliche setup done a lot of justice, and what more could I ask for? Episode 9, Grudge Match. Yeah, I wasn't particularly blown away by this one. The Huntress finds Black Canary really suffering in her superhero performance. Weirded out by this, Huntress consults her boyfriend, The Question.
Think she's moonlighting? Maybe she's stepping out on Green Arrow.
The deeper mystery here is, why do you even care? Isn't this the woman who beat the snot out of you a few months back?
She got a lucky shot in. Okay, 5 or 6 lucky shots. Anyway, that's not the point.
Aha! As I suspected. 32 flavors.
Does this guy even fight crime? I mean, this whole setup is based upon some old real-world ice cream commercial that claimed they had all 31 flavors of ice cream, and the Question has now discovered there are indeed 32 flavors. I got a really good laugh out of that. Now, the villain of The Cat and the Canary, Roulette, can hardly get business, so she goes to Luthor to get villains for the brawls.
There isn't enough. The last remnant of Brainiac, but there isn't enough to work with.
Perhaps if you constructed a positronic event chamber.
Yes, that could work, but where would I get the money? Between the government freezing my assets and the cost of running this secret society.
He's talking to his imaginary friend again.
However, they realize that there's nothing men will pay more to see than watching women fight, so she's been capturing and brainwashing JLU women to fight with nothing held back in the ring. That's why Black Canary was so sluggish earlier, with Huntress trying to save the day. This episode suffers from the issues that the Blu-ray re-release of Mystery of the Batwoman had and the episode Hearts and Minds from Justice League Season 2's Blu-ray had, that at some intervals the video will look really bad and up-resed. The closest thing I can compare it to is like watching a YouTube video and the quality just drops from 1080 to 480 out of nowhere. I think this episode of these 3 examples suffer from it the most. But there are really good character moments, as the animosity between Huntress and Black Canary turns into more of a playful rivalry as they have to survive this together, with a plethora of fantastic action scenes. Good drama too, like when they have to fight against Vixen and Shiera, who are still under the influence. That sounds hard enough, but when bringing those two back to sanity, we get this.
Oh no. I've saved the very best for last.
Seriously, that's such a great "oh man, here we go" moment, followed by a carnage-filled Wonder Woman fight. Also, if you were disappointed we never got a Wonder Woman vs. Hawkgirl scene back when these two were enemies, I guess you're in luck. It wouldn't end well.
I hope you two have an explanation for this.
In the end, of course, Wonder Woman is brought back to sanity as well. Roulette is beaten, goes to jail, everybody's saved, yada yada yada.
You know, if you want, I can talk to the League and get you back in.
Nah, I do fine on my own.
Thank you, Helena. If you hadn't...
You would have done the same. You know, I was totally whipping your butt back when they caught us.
In your dreams.
I don't have any, big issues with this one. It's just another well-made Justice League Unlimited episode. Seriously, think about this. Justice League is the longest show we've done yet. We did 4 Batman seasons, 3 Superman seasons, and now 5 Justice League seasons. My closing statements on these episodes is like a deflating balloon. I mean, what else can I even say? Episode 10, Far From Home. If you recall in Superman Season 3, we were introduced to the Legion of Superheroes, a team of superheroes that protect Earth in roughly 1,000 years from whenever the current day is. Seriously, when Superman the Animated Series in the 1990s did an episode with these guys, the year was 2979, but when we get an episode like this made in the early 2000s, the 21st century, now we're seeing them from what we'd call the 31st century. Right off the bat, I'll say that the Legion of Superheroes, from what little I know about them, are a moderately large team, so the 3 characters we focused on back in STAS's New Kids in Town are not the characters we'll be seeing today. The 2 we focus on being Bouncing Boy and Brainiac 5. Yeah, he says it himself, he's a part of the Brainiac lineage, a good guy trying to make up for the mistakes of his ancestors. Now he has short hair when he had the Nightwing cut back in his STAS cameo. But wait a minute, the name Brainiac 5 means that there was a Brainiac 2, 3, and 4. 1,000 years is a pretty long time, but the whole premise of the Superman episode was that Brainiac, the villain we know, realized that all of his defeats dated back to Kal-El being sent to Earth from Krypton, and he went back in time to kill teenage Clark Kent before he becomes Superman and stop him in stolen memories. Brainiac 5 is right there, and yet the villain Brainiac number 1 is still kicking. You folks that read comic books can explain this to me. Like, are Brainiacs 2 through 4 around still being evil? Is Brainiac a threat for the Legion of Superheroes, or did the STS writers just pull that one out of their butts? Also, his existence there would mean that eventually Brainiac not only survived his base's destruction in Justice League Season 2, but also comes back from the end of the Cadmus arc. And what's going to happen later this season. Whatever, it's not impossible. After all, this is superhero stuff. Unless you actually see a corpse, you can't call a character dead. And with Brainiac being a robot, there's no such thing as a corpse, I guess. I'm really getting off topic. Back to episode 10. The Legion's villains, the Fatal Five, have captured most members of the team, leaving only Brainiac 5 and Bouncing Boy. They've decided to bring back JLU members from the past to their time to help.
Some kid, huh? Today's her 21st birthday, but she'd rather be here practicing than go out on the town with me and Dinah.
Good for her.
Hey, at least we wanted to spend some time with her. You ever think about how she must feel? She's always an outsider.
I know a little bit about that myself, Ollie.
Just a little. You came to Earth as a baby, grew up here. Kara spent most of her life on a planet with technology hundreds of years ahead of ours. She's got to feel like she's trapped in the Stone Age.
I've tried to make her feel at home.
How? Seems to me you treat her just like another cape.
I was never happy about Kara going into the family business, but now that she's decided it's what she wants to do, I've tried to step back and let her develop into her own person. I didn't want her living in the shadow of being Superman's cousin.
This may shock you, but she's proud to be your cousin. She even changed her costume to look more like yours.
Yes, and I'm very proud. But don't tell her.
No, that's a job for Superman.
That was a really good ending line from Green Arrow, but of course that dialogue was a lot of exposition. Exposition that does give me pause for thought, though. I never really realized it before, but Superman did come to Earth as a 1-month-old baby, so he's just used to the world being the way it is. But remember, Supergirl was 12 when the explosion on Krypton had caused a devastating effect on her planet, Argo. 4 years later, she goes into frozen storage for 30 years, and is saved by Superman. Now having to live in a world hundreds of years behind the one she came from, it's just a different kind of thing than what Superman went through. But I have an issue with this episode. Green Arrow's actor's doing a good job with these lines as he's given good material, but he sounds like a lot of his lines were recorded after the fact, over the phone or something, and it's really distracting. Arrow, GL, and Supergirl are pulled into the future as Bouncing Boy remarks that at one point, Supergirl just disappears from history around her 21st birthday, which is right now. Meaning she's probably going to die before this episode's over. Which makes Brainiac 5 feel guilty because they're dragging her into the situation without explaining that first, which he does by the end of the episode, when she and him have grown feelings for each other. As she finally feels at home because the 31st century Earth has the technology she grew up on. I can't focus too much on this relationship because there really isn't much there to discuss or work with. Its purpose can be explained in a moment, but Supergirl finding out that she's going to most likely die in this mission doesn't deter her from fighting the army of brainwashed Legionnaires, and the brainwashed Green Lantern who was captured earlier in the episode during the first fight scene because in comics lore, Green Lanterns are banned from Earth in the Legion of Superheroes time, and so the Fatal Five wanted his power set for their side because why not? Seriously though, this is what I was saying about Supergirl in the Galatea fight, and it definitely holds true now. She's just a courageous character for looking her own potential death in the face and fighting for her friends anyway. This actually has been a character trait of hers since her debut in Superman Season 3.
I've seen one planet die, and I'm not gonna stand by and watch it happen again.
It makes her an endearing character, it just does. Especially here where she actually almost does die at the hands of brainwashed GL no less, as they pay homage to the famous comic cover where Supergirl died. But she is in fact alive and well, and saves the day. Realizing she could do so much more as her own person and not just Superman's cousin while living in the future, a setting more familiar to her, and with a guy she likes, Supergirl decides to stay in the future.
History says Supergirl never returned from this mission because she decided to stay in the future.
That's why there was a small romance plot. It gives her an extra reason to stay in the future, which is the exit of this character from the DC animated universe. The last Supergirl appearance ever. As we get this really good moment to close the episode on.
Tell Ma and Pa I love them. And I love you too, Clark. Don't take this the wrong way, but I've found a place where I can make a difference. Where I'm more than just Superman's kid cousin. I feel I belong here. Also, I met this boy.
You should have seen her. She was amazing.
She's a grown woman now, capable of choosing.
Kara's headstrong, but she's always made good decisions. I trust her judgment. But you were right, Ollie. I wish I had told her.
It's okay, Clark. She knows.
Now, this boy Kara likes so much. Does he have a name?
I feel like that shouldn't have gotten the emotional response out of me that it did. I mean, it's no star-crossed ending, or legacy ending for that matter, but it was this moment that it dawned on me that the Justice League series is almost done, with that being the very final Supergirl moment. Not a deep character, but still, it's been about a year since I did my review of Superman Season 3 when she was a new character. Well, I talked about her TNBA appearance before then, but you know what I mean. It's just so weird to look back at how far this retrospective has come in such a short time. While this universe is growing bigger and bigger by the review, here we are in the final episodes of JLU and we're actually getting smaller. Characters like Jean and Supergirl are leaving and getting closure for their characters. So yeah, when she said "I love you, Clark," I thought that was a sweet moment. Speaking of being almost done with Justice League though, there are only 3 episodes left of this entire show. And the subject of closure, this next episode is really going to drive that home for arguably one of JL's greatest aspects, the relationship between Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. Episode 11, Ancient History. This being the follow-up to Episode 2 as Carter Hall, Hawkman, is back.
I fought our gentleman ghost before. These intangible types can be tricky. But he didn't stand a chance against the 2 of us.
Look, Hawkman, I appreciate the help. Let's leave it at that.
He helps GL bag a crook that works for Luthor, but GL doesn't care to make friends with the guy, as the Shadow Thief villain from Episode 2 is still around and watching, leading to this.
I just ran into your stalker boyfriend, Carter Hall.
He's not my boyfriend.
And he's still talking about you.
Yeah, the whole reincarnated lovers from ancient Egypt bit. Carter's just a little confused.
He's an obsessed fanboy with wings and an axe.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were...
Concerned. The guy's a serious creep.
I'm a big girl, John. You know I can take care of myself.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a heads up. This isn't about us, Shaira.
I recapped this during the Episode 2 review, but it must be such a challenge for GL knowing that the future showed him and Shaira settling down, but for now, Vixen's going away for a photo shoot, but of all people, the Shadow Thief busts in, wrecks the place, and captures Green Lantern. But why? Well, Vixen and Shaira go to Hawkman for help, but find GL and Shadow Thief. Vixen doesn't have any part of this, according to Shadow Thief himself. He wants Hawkman, Shaira, and GL, as he recovered the Absorbicron from Episode 2 that made Carter think he and Shaira were the reincarnated versions of the old Katar and Shaira. Now he wants to show the 3 of them the full story. Remember what I said? Katar and Shaira created the ancient Egyptian society, but through the actions of a jealous outsider, this led to them being poisoned to death. Now we see it play out for our own eyes. Ancient Shaira is upset that Katar won't settle down in favor of expanding his territory as Katar's best man, Bashari, arrives to announce the military victory they just had, who just so happens to look like Green Lantern. Katar also has an advisor that seems salty about Shaira's attitude towards him, who is voiced by the same person who played Lieutenant Krager in Star-Crossed.
Hathset, I wish to speak to my husband. Alone.
As you wish, my queen.
I think you might know where this story's going. Bashari and Shaira have a friendly, banterous relationship, but in reality, Shaira has feelings for Bashari even though she's already with Katar. The nostalgia is real with this because yeah, this is the story of Justice League Season 2, only in ancient Egypt. I'm sure this will be instantly recognizable.
Katar's my husband.
And my best friend.
I'd leave him for you.
I'd never ask. I'm afraid that you would. Katar needs you.
And I need you.
Is that laying it on a bit too thick? Maybe, but I'll just refer back to the part in Justice League Season 1 where at the end of the Savage time we heard the GL Hawkgirl romance theme for the first time. I was sold on the scene immediately because of that. I'm not gonna lie, if you want me to love a scene, you just have to remind me of and play music from GL and Hawkgirl moments in Justice League Season 2 and bam, I'm hooked. Seriously though, why don't we have the JLU soundtrack? I mean, my ears just heard an Egyptian remix of the GL Hawkgirl love theme and I don't have it on my hard drive? To cut to the chase, the point here is that the story is cyclical. What I was scared of going into this season is making Justice League Season 2 some kind of a fate plot is not something I'm a fan of. As Shadow Thief and Hawkman himself view Carter to be the reincarnation of Katar, Shiera is Shiera, and GL is Bashari. More credence to this cycle is the story from Justice League Season 2, where the attendant Hothset was Krager trying to get between Shiera and Katar/Hrotalik.
It can't be true.
No, of course not. Bashari would never betray your friendship in such a manner. And the Queen's trustworthiness is, of course, beyond reproach.
Then why pester me with idle gossip?
It's just that these ugly rumors undermine your authority. And I must admit, no, I speak out of turn.
You speak when I command it, Hothset.
They spend a great deal of time together. They give the appearance of impropriety.
I trust Bashari with my life, and Shiera is my life. I'll hear no more of this nonsense, Hothset. Leave me, now!
What do you think you're doing?
I'm sorry, sir. She's guilty of high treason, espionage, and consorting with the enemy. Commander, I hated to be the one to tell you.
When Shiera's affair with Bashari/Green Lantern is what led to the end of Katar and Hrotalik, as Hothset is actually the one who poisoned Bashari and Shiera, with Katar poisoning himself in response to Shiera's death. That was a tragic part of this world's history, as was the story of Starcrossed. We now learn that Shadow Thief is Hawkman's shadow. When he touched the Absorbicron in his early expositions, not only did he see this story, it released his inner darkest desires as the Shadow Thief, which is why he has gathered this audience today. He wants Carter to finally end the cycle by killing GL once and for all, and then he can finally have what he wants. This is when I was turned around on the Destiny angle here. Because it doesn't matter that in ancient Thanagarian lore there was a story that was almost identical to the one in Justice League Season 2. It wasn't actually destiny or reincarnation. The truth is, we all have a choice at every step of the way. Katar, Hothset, Bashari, the old Shiera, the new Shiera, Hrotalik, GL, Krager, Carter, all these characters have had the chance to make a choice. It wasn't destiny. Hrotalik just made garbage choices that just so happened to be something that already happened in history. Our Shiera made different decisions in the end than the old Shiera. Bashari knew what he was getting into from the offset, GL did not. Again, we always have a choice. There is no such thing as reincarnation. As much as Carter wants Shiera, he will choose the right thing.
Had me worried there.
In the end, the day is saved and Shadow Thief is destroyed. Vixen and GL both got injured in the process though. But this is where the closure for GL and Hawkgirl finally comes in. Green Lantern actually has learned something from Carter, and that is that there's no such thing as destiny. He finally decides to do the right thing as well in a really cinematic moment.
Slight concussion, multiple fractures and lacerations. Without her healing powers, it could have been worse. Hey, cheer up. She's going to be fine.
Shiera, I haven't been fair to Mari, and I haven't been fair to you. I couldn't figure out how to tell you this, or even if I should.
What?
When Batman and I went to the future, we met a man named Warhawk. He's our son, yours and mine.
Our son?
That's why I've been so awkward around you lately. I've been trying to figure out what to do with that knowledge, what it means for our future.
Well, what else could it mean?
I won't be Destiny's puppet. Whatever the future holds, we'll make those choices ourselves.
Don't say you don't love me.
I'll never say that. But you need to know, I'm staying with Mari.
Another moment of finality. That is the very last time that GL and Hawkgirl's relationship will be a focus in this retrospective. GL has decided that he's not going to play to Destiny. And if he and Shiera are going to get together, they'll do it on their own terms, not because one mission in the future is forcing him to do it. But the Batman Beyond Justice League episode has Warhawk in it. That means that they eventually do. Finally, GL and Hawkgirl will be able to put all the drama behind and be happy, just not right now, in the future. What better note could it go out on?
Tell me about my son.
I also love how Shiera trusts Batman enough to ask him about that future mission, and I'm sure, like the great guy he is, Batman said everything he knew because the Justice League is more than a team at this point. It really is a family. With that said, it's not a two-part episode, but these next two go hand in hand like the Cadmus episodes did last time. So, let's begin the finale of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited with episode 12, Alive. Luthor is testing on the rock again to no success, but Tala uses her magic to show whatever meaning this rock has. Well, after Luthor is a complete dick about it.
I will show you what is in there.
Don't be stupid. This is science. What good is your sorcery? Unless you plan to turn stone into gold, or maybe a frog?
Such ignorance. Transmutation is what you want to do.
Transmutation is... What are you waiting for? Do it!
Okay!
Okay!
Now what does Luthor see? This.
Critical system failure in 3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1 second.
No! Keep the image!
With Luthor's photographic memory, he can trace where Brainiac's base was from the JL Season 2 premiere by the star patterns and travel there by turning Grodd's base into a starship. Luthor becomes a complete maniac here, and I love it. Bizarro also turns into the average Black Hooded Gamer comment section.
Help, Bizarro.
As we get another beautiful scene of Luthor villainy.
You're going to help me collect some newly discovered pieces of Brainiac.
Swell. So you merge with a living computer like you did before. You become more powerful than all of us put together. But what do we get?
You'll all be my lieutenants in the new order. Of course, if you don't like those terms, you'd better stop me now while you still have a chance. But you'd also better remember what happened to poor Goldface. I'm already more powerful than all of you put together.
You better remember what happened to poor Goldface. Like, damn.
Come to gloat at me again? I'm not some monkey in a zoo throwing...
Listen, I've been very, very bad. I backed the wrong pony. It should have been you.
Oh, you finally sussed it out. That hairless sweetheart of yours isn't a leader. He's a thug.
Grodd leads a rebellion with half the villain team, starting a full civil war. Another fantastic action set piece as these villains are just beating the shit out of each other. And while I give Batman credit for this a lot, Lex Luthor deserves the real credit for living through all this shit. You'd think he'd be the first to go here, but he's just such a diabolical mastermind that he can play every scenario, even this one, to his advantage.
It's very weird. You were never so much fun when we were together.
You wouldn't believe what this cost me.
As his last appearance, I should also mention, don't fuck with Toyman, he'll wreck you.
Around the world?
Now, I must say, I don't know why, but the sight of Lex Luthor getting punched in the face by a giant gorilla was really funny to me. This, of course, leads to another badass Lex moment, possibly one of the best of all time, as Grodd tries to use his mind powers on Luthor.
Took you long enough. I was beginning to think I'd figured you wrong. Take 6 steps forward. Get in. I should have let you rot in jail. Goodbye, Grodd. It could have gone the other way. It really could have, couldn't it? No. But why speak ill of the dead?
You twisted pink rat hole of a hominid! I'm not done with you! I'll get out of this, and when I do...
And there goes Gorilla Grodd. Dies at the hand of Lex Luthor, tossing him out of an airlock. Luthor Luthor could have killed him under the influence of mind control, but no, he returned Grodd's self-awareness just so that he could kill him while he's angry. And then there's this dialogue. Goodbye, Grodd. It could have gone the other way. It really could have, couldn't it? No, but why speak ill of the dead? Luthor has all the rogue villains killed as well, before they reach the pieces of Brainiac's base. Tala is captured, plan being to use her magic power to bring Brainiac back from the pieces floating in space.
You'll be the mystic conduit that will siphon Brainiac's essence from the debris. I'll be able to reconstitute him from that energy. But I doubt you'll see it.
You planned this all along, even before
I'm a sick person, too.
I'm a sick person, too. God damn, this is the 8th and final video with Lex Luthor, and they continue to find new ways to make him a great character every freaking season. This gets held off because remember, Brainiac's base was right next to New Genesis and Apocalypse, so new gods showing up is a likely occurrence. This is exactly what happens was Metron, a god who seeks to unravel all the mysteries of the universe, stops time and tells Luthor that he's messing with forces beyond his comprehension. But since when would this stop Luthor?
Brainiac, I'm coming.
Your new Lord and Master.
It seems I have you to thank for my resurrection. Though your world will suffer slowly, I grant you a quick death.
Holy shit, it's Darkseid. I mean, he died in that Brainiac base too, and Luthor's process mistakenly brought him back, more powerful than ever before. Yeah, the final battle of the DCAU will be against Darkseid, who first travels to Apocalypse, where the Civil War from Season 2 is still ongoing. But everyone on both sides instantly bows down to Darkseid. Seriously, this guy commands some serious respect.
Only the slimmest of chances has allowed me to overcome my death at the hands of Superman. But let the universe howl in despair, for I have returned.
What is your will, my lord?
As ever, to search for the anti-life equation, that I may bring order to this aimless universe. But first, Superman must suffer for killing me. His adopted world will die screaming. Only then will I seek the ultimate end.
Forgive me, Lord, but an attack on Earth would violate your pact with Highfather. New Genesis would doubtless retaliate.
Where do you think I'm going next?
Now Darkseid isn't even afraid of the New Genesis Treaty anymore. I guess returning from the dead really diminishes Darkseid's fucks given meter. And now it's time for the final episode of Justice League Unlimited, the final episode of the DCAU, what was our last ounce of DCAU content in existence until Batman and Harley Quinn and Justice League vs. the Fatal Five from 2017 and 2019 respectively. Episode 13, Destroyer.
Superman! You better get outside, quick!
We have a little problem.
Sinestro has saved the team from death at the hands of Darkseid as one of the new gods came to help.
We accept it, of course.
So all the heroes and villains are going to team up for this epic battle against Darkseid's grandest invasion yet.
We'll need all the bodies we can throw at this. Oh, come on, it's Lex flippin' Luthor. Why should we trust him?
Hey, it's our world too.
Let's be clear about this. We're not here to help you save the world. You're here to help me get revenge on Darkseid. When this is over, it's back to business as usual.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
It's Lex flippin' Luthor. That confident attitude from Lex is just insanely fun to watch, and this is the last time, folks. Now, here's what I like about this finale. I love seeing all these heroes again. You see Green Arrow and Black Canary fighting together, the Question is running over parademons with his car, Hawkman joins the fight. It feels like an Omega level threat. We get a dedicated shot of Zatanna fighting these guys, who is the first DCAU guest character with numerous great moments between the founding League members. I have a hard time picturing the people making this episode not knowing it was the last episode, because it really feels like one. Like when this guy leaves his wife to help Wonder Woman.
Get away from here! It's not safe!
Don't worry. I'm here to help.
I appreciate your intent. Hera.
Good to see you, Diana.
Yeah, Jean found a human wife in his absence and can now turn into different forms with different colors, too. Before, it was always the same green shade that his natural Martian skin had. That's no longer an issue for the guy. He's found happiness, and Carl Lumbly just sells it with the delivery of his lines.
I've got a lot to tell you about.
We'll catch up later.
Wouldn't miss it. First things first.
And of course, I love this last GL Flash scene.
Oh, cool. Doesn't look like it quite made escape velocity.
Nope. Good effort, though.
Or Atomic Skull saving Shiera from an explosion. It's a really grand episode for a mere 22 minutes, as Superman, Batman, and Lex Luthor take the fight to Darkseid on top of the Daily Planet. And these are where the best moments are. Let's just watch the action scene.
With everything going on, I'll bet he never notices us. You're on.
I'll take some of that action.
I hope you appreciate, Kal-El, that everything that happens from this point is on your head. The skies will rain fire, the oceans will boil, the streets will run red with the blood of billions. Only then, after your last pitiful hope is extinguished, will I end your life. Let's go.
You destroyed Brainiac, and I'm going to make you pay!
Unlikely. The last time we met, you barely managed to hold your own.
Funny, that's not how I remember it.
Allow me to refresh your memory. Parademons, dispose of these annoyances.
Excuse me.
Problem? I'm out. Take my extra.
Not my style.
Suit yourself. I'm planning to live through this.
Okay, there. That's something I want to talk about. I like how Batman tries to attack Darkseid. It just doesn't do much. I hate how OP Batman has been and how much screen time he's been taking up in the last few years, because no, Batman doesn't stand a chance against Darkseid. That's not why I want to see them in the same room. It's because Batman will do anything to help Superman defeat Darkseid, even if he himself doesn't actually stand a chance. That's why we love Batman.
Flee. Impressive. No one has ever avoided my Omega Beam. I wonder if the other one is as agile. Excellent strategy.
Luthor!
Meanwhile with Luthor, Metron's watching as Lex is still not afraid of this higher power.
For instance, if you know so much about Darkseid, I'll wager you know how to beat him.
There is one possibility. One thing in all the universe that might... But no. The risk.
I know a little something about risk myself. Care for an object lesson?
Metron takes Luthor to the only thing that can defeat Darkseid. Yeah, you never thought this was gonna happen. Metron teleports Luthor to the edge of the universe, to the source wall. If Luthor can make it inside, he will gain the ultimate knowledge of the universe and acquire the anti-life equation, the very thing Darkseid has been seeking for thousands of years. Lex has always been seeking knowledge, power, and control. What greater knowledge is there than the ultimate knowledge contained in the source wall? Another comic book concept quickly introduced to the DCAU lore.
Only a 12th level intellect has the slightest hope of surviving what you are about to experience.
Then I'm overqualified.
Then I'm overqualified. So what really is this place? Well, let me lazily read the Wikipedia definition. The source wall is a fictional structure in the DC Comics universe. The wall lies on the edge of the known multiverse. Beyond the wall lies what is known as the source, a cosmic essence of being that is the, quote, source of all that exists. Damn, Luthor really is overqualified. Who in this continuity could handle that knowledge better than Luthor? Back on the ground, we get a fan favorite moment right here as the STAS theme triumphantly plays in the background.
You still try to fight.
That man won't quit as long as he can still draw a breath. None of my teammates will. Me? I've got a different problem. I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone. Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die. But you can take it, can't you, big man? What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am.
The thing I always thought was weird about that, though, was that I don't understand what that rare opportunity is. So Superman thinks that since Darkseid won't die if he unleashes his full power, he can just do it. But we see people on the streets. People are in these buildings. How are they not dying? And how come Superman couldn't unleash his true power in Twilight, where it's Brainiac's base, for Pete's sake? In fact, I thought that was the point of that scene. So yeah, it was a badass moment for Superman, but I never thought it made a whole lot of sense. But Darkseid quickly gains the upper hand until the universe is saved by one man, Lex Luthor.
As much as I'd enjoy seeing that, first you've got some business with me. Sorry it took me so long. I had to go get my power suit.
You would dare challenge me? Insanity.
Oh, I'm not here to challenge you, Darkseid. Quite the contrary. I've got something you want. The only thing you want.
The anti-life equation.
My gift to you.
Let's go! It's too late.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yep, that's that. Dwayne McDuffie had since confirmed what happened there was that Luthor gave Darkseid the anti-life equation and this sealed them both inside of the Source dimension, which is what the Source Wall guards. Lex knew it, and he finally accomplished his goal of gaining ultimate knowledge, and so he sacrificed his life and saved the whole universe. As for Darkseid, I'm sure he's happy with ultimate universe knowledge as well, but just think about it. Darkseid for centuries wanted that anti-life equation to bring misery to the universe, but the ultimate irony was that all it did was trap him in the Source dimension. With that, all the forces just leave. I guess that's what you do when Darkseid just vanishes. As I must return to the idea that there is no way they didn't know this was the last episode, as all 7 Founding League members get a line here, reflecting on this ending. Let's watch.
Thanks to Luthor, of all people.
In many ways, Lex Luthor represents the worst mankind has to offer.
But he died saving us all.
I doubt that either of them died.
We saw it this time.
You saw it last time, too.
What's the old saying? Believe half of what you see.
And none of what you hear. They'll be back.
And we'll be ready for them.
Meanwhile, it's past time that Luthor's partners in crime were locked up.
Wait a minute. We help you guys save the world and we don't even get any consideration?
You're right. 5-minute head start.
5 minutes? Are you kidding?
4 minutes, 50 seconds.
And we end on Batman, the first DCAU character and the last. Truly a grand way to go out.
I should be back in time for dinner. I love you too.
These are the end times.
A head start. You're getting soft in your old age.
Don't you have a tall building to go leap?
And the adventure continues.
So, what did I think of Destroyer? I mean, I really enjoyed it. It closed the character arcs of Lex Luthor and Darkseid once and for all, had numerous great character moments and action scenes, however, there are ways in which it does fall short. I think this episode is kind of emblematic of JLU Season 3. I really liked it, but it doesn't really do too much you haven't seen before. Darkseid attacking Earth, I mean, meh, that's been done so many times now, it's nothing new. For what it's worth, I love what they did with it as Batman and Lex, how Superman fight him off, but it certainly doesn't stay in your mind like the Lex Brainiac battle in Divided We Fall does. It's also really quick, it's a 22-minute episode after all, and they had to squeeze in all these moments. Not much room to breathe here. But don't get me wrong, Destroyer is a great episode, a great watch, it really is, but from a review perspective, it's one of the weaker finales. For clarification, I don't count Batman's seasons 1 through 4, Superman seasons 1 and 2, and the Beyond seasons into that equation because those final episodes were just episodes that happened to be at the end. But of the finale episodes, this just being a battle between Superman season 3 and the 5 Justice League seasons, I would say Star-Crossed ranks at the top, Divided We Fall / Epilogue are right after that, then Legacy from STIS Volume 3, then I'd put the Savage Time from Justice League Season 1, and I'd say that's roughly tied with Destroyer, which I'd still take over the Once and Future Thing from the first Unlimited season. But hey, we did it! That was Justice League Unlimited Season 3. I have been dropping hints and jokes all throughout this video leading to this conclusion. Justice League Unlimited Season 3 was not a season that needed to exist, but they did their absolute best to make the season something worth watching, to still give us great character moments. They still tried to up the ante in the action set pieces, still find new ways to use continuity, and for that reason I have nothing but respect and love for JLU's final season. I say that JLU Season 3 doesn't stand out, and that's not because of a lack of quality. It's just because by this point we really have seen it all, which is a testament to how good this season is. I mean, after this, there wasn't a single Justice League cartoon at all until 2017, and Destroyer aired in 2006. I loved watching JLU Season 3, and it's the 3rd best Justice League season ever made. This may come as a surprise, but it ranks at the bottom of S tier. It's a season that might seem like I like it less than I do, but no, this season actually was casually S tier, because that's just the JL quality standard, to the point where all the great things this season does aren't really new or impressive anymore. This season was overall better than Superman Season 3 or TNBA, those were just technically more impressive for their time. But I will remind for the 100th time, these season rankings aren't really that important because it can change any time in the future and my thoughts on the individual episodes would stay the same. But more importantly, with this video being done, that ends my coverage of Justice League, the animated series. All the JL videos on my channel will probably take over 12 hours to watch. We all know why I love this series. The retrospective has built up to this show from the very beginning, and while this wasn't something I really planned on making a highlight of my channel back when I first started, it certainly is now. In the year 2019, I covered all 5 seasons of Justice League / Justice League Unlimited, a show that inspired me at a very early age, introduced me to this mythos, to this continuity, as I would later get so much enjoyment out of the shows that came before. Of course, Justice League's first season doesn't do it for me anymore, but that doesn't mean I don't still care for it a lot. Nor does that take away from Justice League being my absolute favorite show in the DC animated universe. For many folks, it's Batman the Animated Series, and I can't take that away from you at all. If that show inspired you from a young age back in the 1990s, I totally see it and I respect it. The DCAU is a great thing, and I'm glad to have spent so many man-hours this year devoted to discussing and analyzing this show. My childhood favorite show that, yeah, still holds that title to this day. In addition to valuing the hours I spent crafting the Batman and Superman videos as well. However, the DCAU retrospective is not done yet. This video marks an endpoint for the marathon though. These past 15 videos have all dealt with the present day storylines of familiar characters and settings everyone knows. However, it's done. We've gone from Batman Season 1 all the way to Unlimited Season 3. Think about this, outside of a few flashbacks, we are done with Bruce Wayne as Batman, we're done with Superman's times in the spotlight. Superman has 1 appearance left in this retrospective. Lex Luthor, Darkseid, Brainiac, they're gone. Batman's cast of characters have been gone. The Justice League we know and love is done. We won't see GL again, won't see Flash again. I love these characters so much. All of them, every single character I've talked about since May of 2017. I love this continuity, but it's time to move on to an entirely new setting and cast of characters. Yeah, for the next 4 videos, we're jumping into the world of Batman Beyond, starting with the first season. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.